Hi. So I just did an interview with Chris of Select Us Credit Counseling. And the reason I did it and the reason that I'm posting it here is because I am a huge advocate and my whole career is based around helping sellers to net the highest dollar when they sell their piece of property. So if you are selling a home and you are looking to net the highest amount without high real estate commissions or without a real estate commission at all, you know who to come to. It's me. So I talked to Chris about lease options. Lease option is a great way to sell your house. You can sell it very quickly within 7 to 10 days. Be said and done, go on with the rest of your life. And I will help a tenant optionee to close on your house within 6 to 12 months. Now, Chris can get credit whipped into shape within 6 months or so. And I am talking to him on this video about how he does that and what a buyer can do to qualify quickly when you can sell your house on a lease option. So the benefits to selling on a lease option are sell at the highest amount, no real estate commission, and close very quickly. So I have a bunch of different ways that sellers can optimize their sale of their house and make the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time. So listen in as we talk to Chris, and he tells us about how he works with people to qualify them to buy your house. So we'll get them in there quickly. We'll make sure that they're qualified. I do talk to a lender before we even move forward with the lease portion of the transaction. And we make sure that they are someone that is going to close on the house and you sell your house and make the most amount of money. By selling on a lease option, you will no doubt make the most amount of money. And there is also possibly a tax benefit to selling this way. So I customize solutions for homeowners. I will talk to you about your situation, the house condition, your tax situation, your wealth situation, and figure out what the best way to sell your house is. So listen in as we talk to Chris. Thanks. Hey, I am Sharon Mancini and I buy houses for rehabs and rentals. And one of the best ways that you can sell your house is through a lease option. So I am here with Chris Wisniewski from Select Us, and we are going to talk about what a seller can do to really make sure that the person that they are placing in their house is a great credit risk. So I only work with people that have certain credit criteria. And Chris helps me along. I send them over to him and he helps to whip them into shape so they can close on your house within 6 to 12 months. So Chris, thank you so much for joining us today. Could you tell us some more about your company and what you do?
Yes. So I own a company, Select Us Consulting and Coaching. We opened up in 2006. So our job really is to help clients that are trying to purchase a home, but might have went through a few different things. So they have some credit issues. So that's really what our goal and our focus is.
Okay. All right, great. And for a homeowner, when they are doing a lease option, credit is a lot of the reasons that someone will come to us. So there are all different reasons, but a lot of the times it is credit. So can you tell me, like, once a buyer comes to you, what we can do to get them whipped into shape to be able to close on the house within 6 to 12 months?
Yeah,
Like,
usually,
what would a buyer do?
yeah, I mean, usually we're within 6 months or less. So when we're working with that, so, when you have that 12-month timeline, that gives us a lot more time to do things that we need. So what a lot of people don't understand is credit's done into a formula. It's done to an algorithm. So sometimes somebody might not have like really bad credit. They might have like 4 or 5 collections from like, say, 4 years ago. And what happens is clients don't understand, consumers don't understand how this formula works. They might pay off a couple of these and it might drop the score. And sometimes, to be honest with you, we work with a lot of people, or not even work with, we see a lot of people that come in that really don't need help with their credit. They might be maxed out on their credit card. So like, and the formula to credit, it's a little strange. So you might have $1,000 credit card limit and owe $900 because you're like, it's not really a big deal. I'm allowed to spend 1,000. But that $900 could drop you 80 points. So now instead of being a 690, you're a 610 mid score. So a lot of times, really for us, it's really looking at the credit and seeing if it's something that's a small, quick fix that they can rebound in a week or two after paying down the card, or is it something a little bit more extensive with collections, charge-offs, repos, what have you.
Okay. So a lot of times just playing off the cards will really increase their credit score enough where they can go to settlement. So that's
Yeah.
one
And
thing
that's
that.
immediate. That's immediate.
Right. Okay. That's
Yeah.
great. That's great
Yeah.
because I've worked with people before that don't know, credit scores are kind of a mystery. So I've worked with people that don't really know that carrying that amount of debt is a problem. They have money for the down payment, but they can't get their score high enough, even though their credit is pretty decent. They have like good payments, good payment history, no charge offs, no foreclosures or bankruptcy, but their score is kind of lagging just because they carry so much debt load. So we can help people in that way. Pretty much, they could close in 30 to 60 days with that case.
Yeah.
So
So a lot of times, you'll see something like that come up,
uh,
and, a lender will turn around and be like, I'll get and they'll say, okay, well, this is not a client for us. And I'm like, well, it's not a client for us. They have $500 on their credit card. They're maxed out 500, pay it down. And, when that report's within 30 days or less, they're a buyer.
uh-huh. How about with like say increasing trade lines? Like let's say that they had a divorce and they had some credit hits like 6 to 9 months ago, but they have 6 to 9 months of no problems, like everything is looking pretty good, but they just need to really give their credit score a boost. And they're paid down. Like it isn't the scenario where they are carrying too much debt. It's like I really look for people where an event happened. It's not long term, like bad credit, 7 years worth of late payments, charge offs, problems. I'm looking for people that had great credit. They had, say, a divorce, a medical problem, a job loss, something like that. And now they're recovering, but their score isn't high enough yet to buy a house. So what would you do? Like, what do you recommend in this scenario if they really just need to give their credit score a boost without having a lot of debt?
Well, if they have like collections charge-offs, they went through something, I would obviously tell them to come to me.
Right.
But I always say too, a lot of times, we all go through different things in life,
Uh-huh.
so it's like saying, the dentist doesn't get a toothache, the surgeon doesn't need surgery one day. Like we're all going to go through some things, and your financial part, it's a huge piece. So if you went through an illness, you went through a divorce, you went through, a job loss, it's going to affect you not just emotionally, it's also going to affect you financially, which is going to affect your credit.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So there's a lot of different ways that, we look at this. Regarding the trade line part of it, is everything that we do is, so if somebody's selling a home and they're doing a lease purchase,
Mhm.
they want to make sure that that client is now going to be able to close on that home. So everything that we do, and this is what we're known for, is to do it the right way. So there's no issues at closing. So when you have a trade line, and a lot of people today sell, I call them fake trade lines. They buy a trade line. Well, that trade line can die out at any time. 2 months, it might last a month, it might last 4 months. Someone pull it. So really, you're not getting that real score. It's not the really credit. Now, if it's, say it's a consumer buying and their wife has strong credit, or the husband has strong credit, or the brother or sister, and they want to use each other as an authorized user, that's totally different. So that is recommended as long as their history is solid.
Okay.
But I'm a firm believer in, structure, foundation. And I believe that if you build a strong foundation, you're going to be able to build not just for today, but also for the future. So I like the client to actually start moving with their own positive credit. And we instruct them and go over how to do it, all the steps and everything like that.
Great. That's great. That's
Yeah.
really good because that way they're establishing, like they can establish their own trade lines, but it really isn't going to give enough time. Like there's not enough momentum behind it to really give it a strong boost, but they can add themselves or a family member can add them as an authorized user
Yeah.
to access that great credit history and to help to boost their score while they're laying the foundation.
As long as it's solid. So,
Yeah.
I tell this to a lot of people, and they're like, well, I was told that I should have, my brother, I should go on his card. I'm like, your brother's like 60 days late. He's maxed
Yeah.
out. This is
Right.
hurting you. So
Okay.
it's like anything in life. Certain things can hurt you. Certain things can be a positive. So, what we like to do is we like to talk to the client. We like to go over everything with them. So, every step that you take, like I always tell everybody, a lot of times people will look at their credit and they'll try to do the right thing. And they'll do like two or three things that are right. They'll increase their score 40 points. And they'll do another thing, which they're like, well, hey, this worked over here, it'll work over here, and drop the score 50 points.
Yeah.
That's why you see a lot of clients so frustrated. They're like, I'm trying to buy a home, I'm trying to do all these things, and I'm going up, I'm going down. And if you see that, it's just because that formula keeps changing. So we always like to have that conversation with a client and do, a full review and go over it. So, they know exactly what to do to get to that step, which is closing on that home as fast as possible.
Okay. That's why I love working with you, because I'm really into like customizing solutions.
Yeah.
So in my business, anybody that comes to me, I customize a solution for them. I'm not like, automatically people think that they need to call a realtor when they want to sell their house. I am licensed as a realtor, but that's not always my first thing. Like I really look for ways that they can customize a solution so they can net the highest dollar amount. And it's not always listing. Sometimes it is a lease option, especially if they have a tax benefit by selling on terms, which is a lease option. So I love like customizing, and I like it that you do that on your end too. You're not just like, this is exactly what you need to do. Everybody has to take these 3 steps and everything will be just fine. Right. You really take a look at everything and customize something for them. So I think that's
it's not one size fits all.
Yeah, right. Life is not one size fits all. So all of this, there's more solutions than just listing a house and just paying off credit cards. Like you really
100%.
need to take a look at someone's situation in so many different ways and give them kind of like a prescription of what they need to do to fix their situation and better their lives.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I always say that, just like everybody's body's different. So what works for one won't work for another. Like we all have DNA, but it's all different. So, somebody that comes to me and says, well, I should go on, an authorized user, or I should settle this collection and charge off because so-and-so did it and jumped their score.
Yeah.
Well, depending on the date, depending on the state that you live in, like a lot of people don't even understand, like statute of limitations on debt is different in every state. Mm-hmm. So there's a whole thing on it. So that's why I said, when you're able to look at something and look at that one file and break it down, that's why a lot of people always say, well, how can you get people in homes less than 6 months? And I'm like, because I'm not doing what everybody else is doing. I'm looking strictly at that client and saying, okay, these are the steps to get this client to where they need to be so they could close on this home in this time frame.
Great. That's just great. I love it. So what would be like some red flags? Like what would be something where you're like, listen, we just need to put this home buying idea aside for now. It's not really going to be a good idea. Like what could crop up that you could see that would be a red flag?
One of the biggest red flags to me is you can't help somebody if they're not willing to help themselves. Mm-hmm. So if they're willing to help themselves, somebody that has all the tools can definitely help them. So give you an idea, like sometimes, I'll get a client that'll call me and they'll say, hey, I want to fix my credit. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, well, you're 60 days behind on a car loan right this moment, so we can't work with you. Now, a lot of credit coaches, credit gurus, stuff like that will take on everybody, and you can't help everybody. So if you're 60 days behind on a car, if I'm trying to dig you out a hole, you're pushing everything back on there. It really doesn't make sense. And sometimes when I say that to somebody, people do get a little frustrated. And then when I'm like, there's a lot of people out there that are taking people's money that are not helping people. So for me, if I was say I was a seller, okay, and I was going to sell a property and I was doing a lease purchase, okay, I'm going to look at and say, okay, what does it look like recently? Okay, you went through this situation, no matter what it was. Mm-hmm. Afterwards, how did it look? Mm-hmm. So in other words, if they turned around and went through something a couple of years ago or even a year ago, and now they're right on the, a good track, that's somebody we can help. That's someone we can get in a home in less than 6 months. Yeah. So that's a perfect candidate. A not so great candidate at this moment would be someone that can't help themselves today.
Yeah, right. Or unwilling to, or feel unworthy. Like, I think that has a lot to do with it too. Like
there's a lot of emotion, when I talk to people, there's a lot of emotional stuff involved in this. I'm the type of person that I always say it's time to get up, mm-hmm. The new day, it's a present, they call it a present for a reason.
Yeah.
It's a gift. So you really can't look so much on the past. But if you look at a lot of people, they've been beat down so many times that they get tired,
Uh-huh.
and it's easy for me to say, hey, listen, you got to get up, you got to keep moving. I
Yeah.
mean, that's really all I know is to get up, keep moving,
You
one step
are.
in forward, yeah,
Yeah.
in front of another. But it
Uh,
gets, it definitely gets tough. I mean, I talk to clients and they get, discouraged, when we initially talk, and people are like, oh, talking about trust. I'm like, listen, I don't trust anybody, so I don't expect you to trust me. Trust is earned.
yeah.
So I always tell everybody that. So when they start seeing the progress, and we work with hundreds of people, and just to feel and to see, like when we do Zoom meetings and things like that, when we first talked, there's really no eye contact, they were a little bit down. Now they're like, hey, Chris, the score just jumped up another 60 points. Like,
Mhm.
and I got this offer in a minute. I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
no more inquiries. You don't need anything. Get to the next level. But you see the excitement in them, and that excitement goes to the next level. So it's like someone in line, like let's say you're in line, if you ever seen someone like in Target or something,
Uh-huh.
and the cashier is like, hey, you could get 15% off today. You just got, and they're like, no, I'm good. They're embarrassed because of their credit, their situation. But one of the things that people have to remember is, and this is a proven stat, over 60 million Americans have bad credit.
Hmm.
So if you look at that, that's a huge number.
Hmm.
And we all go through it. So a lot of times people are like, you shouldn't air out your business. And I'm like, that's one of the things about me is I'm very personal and I like to talk. I went through a divorce. In 2009, I went through like at the worst time. What are you going to do? So I always look at it this way. People go through stuff. It's not what you go through, it's what you go through, afterwards is really what makes you.
One reason I think that we connect a lot is our worldview and our outlook on life, and how we can always move forward under any circumstances. Like
You have to.
I had a terrible time in 2006. I got stuck with 6 rehab properties. The market just tanked. I had a death in the family that was like devastating to me. Like everything was wrong. So I had these houses that were in foreclosure. I had to claim bankruptcy, and it was a horrifying time. Like I felt terrible. I felt very alone and all that, but there is always coming back. Like that was the worst time of my life. It was absolutely horrible, but there is always coming back. Like
Yeah.
credit is fixable. Credit you can work with. It doesn't define you. And
No,
so I think that you can get like lost in that, like what you're saying about the people that are in line at Target and they're like, oh no, I don't want to apply. And
they're embarrassed. Listen,
yeah.
and it's like, who doesn't want a discount, But I always tell everybody when I talk to people about credit, everybody goes to the financial part of it. I'm like, there's a huge emotional part to this too, because it's
Really?
not about making money. Because a lot of people will be surprised. I work with people that make 40 grand a year, but I also work with people that make $400,000 a year.
Yeah.
So, and up. I work with all levels, and I always tell everybody, it's not what you make, it's what you have access to. Because
Yeah.
when things go rough, you need access to lines of credit, high credit card limits, things of that nature.
Mhm.
So, one of the things I always tell everybody is if you want to make the change, we'll
Uh-huh.
help you get to where you need to be, but you have to want it just as bad, if not more.
Right. So tell me, and we'll wrap this up shortly, but just tell me, like, what is different from you? Like, why should people come directly to you as a company as opposed to another credit repair company?
I'm not a big fan of credit repair, to be honest with you. So
Mhm.
I started in 1989 working with credit and mortgages. So I actually used to do mortgages and credit all the way up to 2006. I like the mortgage industry. The credit industry was more my calling, okay, because I felt like all the people that I was helping, when I would call them a year later for their anniversary of buying a home, they knew who I was.
Uh-huh.
When you called somebody and they were looking for a home and, they had 700, 800 score, I just felt like my value wasn't there. So I appreciate that connection. I obviously, think that working with me compared to working with anybody else is like night and day. The reason is that I do understand the mortgage industry. Okay. I have, a lot of years in the mortgage industry. The other thing I understand is what a lot of people don't look at. When you look at credit repair, they look at disputing things. That's a very, very small piece of the puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a deal. They closed, I think it was about a week or two ago. And they were with the company for over a year before they joined us. We had them done in less than 4 months.
Yeah.
Okay. And it was just give you, I mean, I have thousands of stories, so I'd be here for hours. But this is one because it was really recent, and they were disputing student loans.
Mm-hmm.
The issue was the credit repair company was trying to delete student loans. Okay, and the part is when you do an FHA loan or a VA loan, any government loan, there's a Cavers report. If you defaulted on a government loan, you can't get another government loan. So you have to remove the Cavers report, not necessarily remove it from the credit report. And these are just things that we know from being in the mortgage industry, what the lender's looking for. So when people come to me, I don't really think that they're trying to say, hey, I want to fix my credit. Because they came to me before they went to the car lot, before they went to the mortgage office. I think what it is people are like, hey, I'm looking to purchase this. How can you help me? So once we get them to that level and understand the psychological part of not just getting them to the finish line, because mentally that's what they want. But once we get them to the finish line, they see their score and now they see other offers and they understand like I can build security around this investment. Because when you own a home, a lot of people don't understand. That's where the true leverage comes into. When you own a home, you could go to a credit union, you could go to a bank. They will give you a line of credit on that home. So when things like bumps in the road happen, which we all go through it, they will, okay, you now have access to cash to float you so the credit doesn't go bad. So there's so many different facets into this that I feel that that's why people come to me and they get the results that they want. They come in because they want to purchase a home. Within 6 months or less, they're pre-approved for a home.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for.
And the last thing too, I'll give you is it's all personal. So we don't look at everybody and work with everybody like a blanket thing. We work with them individually. There's no bot setups. There's none of that.
Right.
You kind of call us within 24 hours or less. You're going to speak with somebody live every day except Sunday and holidays. So
that's great. So 24 hours, they call you, and within 6 months, they can be purchasing and closing on a house. Yeah.
Yes.
Wonderful. Love it. I really appreciate you getting on with me today. We've been talking
thanks
about
for
this
having
for a
me.
while. We've been talking about it, but we just got caught up in life. And so it's just been busy, but I'm really glad to connect with you. I really appreciate you with all the help that you give to people and for being a partner of mine and for getting on this call and helping people. So we need lunch soon too. So I will text you soon for lunch. It's patio season, so we'll definitely have to have a get together, but I will talk to you soon.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. One last thing. How can people reach you? What should they do to reach out to you?
You can check out my site at selectusllc.com, or you could call us at 888-714-5312.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon.
You got it. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.